Okay, Pat, looks like we're ready to go. Welcome to the party.
Hey, Rick.
Uh,
Good afternoon.
So I thought we would kind of recap a little bit about some of the changes for the week, and I know you've got some new numbers for us for forbearances, and then and some other mortgage changes that you've seen. So what I thought I'd do is kind of let everybody know um, what numbers have changed on our side here.
So
So
week by week.
yeah, so on our end, I'm adjusting a few things on the screen here so I can see comments and chats this time. So on our end, nothing's really changed. Listings are still hanging around 14,000, just staying there. But we did see a surprising uptick in homes under contract, a very optimistic view, to be honest with you. And I believe that what's causing that is that people that were in a position to get ready to buy recognize that the bidding wars are done. The buyer traffic's still way down, but the number of contracts last week compared to the week before went up something like 22%. So the buying environment got better for some buyers in certain price ranges. And for sellers, it's still good because you just don't have any competition. So it's harder to find that perfect home you're looking for because people have pulled their homes off the market. But at the same time, if you're out hunting, I don't think you're going to see people lined up at the door. There's some decent variety out there, and with iBuyers like Zillow, OfferPad, and Open Door leaving the market, that's more homes available for you to see. In that 200 to 400 range, they were gobbling that up at about a 6% rate, 6% of the market. And that doesn't exist now because those guys, headed for the hills. So that gives buyers a little more variety in that price range. A lot of the homes that we're seeing being pulled off are 500,000 and above.
Did you've been looking at the Airbnb market too, right?
The Airbnb market, it's hard. There isn't really anything in the MLS that says this used to be an Airbnb home, but we did see a 25% increase in rentals listed on the MLS. Now, a lot of people, when they're looking for, to put a home up for rent, they don't put it on the MLS. They put it on, on Zillow. And so there's no numbers on Zillow to say how much of an increase that is, but it's pretty apparent that Airbnbs they're dumping their properties. They're either putting renters in or they're actually being gobbled up by investors. So they're being sold because they bought them with the hopes that they'd make, high weekly income, and it's not there.
Yeah, and obviously that opportunity is gonna shake out a few people, obviously.
Yeah, it's happening, and it's happening quick too. But tell me what you're seeing on forbearance. Last week it was what, 3% of homes?
Yeah, I
Didn't
mean,
make their payments?
what we'll cover on. What I'm going to cover on. Like kind of give people a summary so they can kind of look. Next 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, we're yakking back and forth. I would just talk real quickly about the forbearances. The overall rates real quick, and then obviously somewhat the programs. Lenders are still filling themselves out, but I think, as I was telling you, I think, the forbearances are kind of, how can I put it? Kind of like keeping score on a game right now. Because, remember I just told you a couple minutes ago, I said '08 was kind of like a slow Chinese water torture where you saw the market keep going down. It really did. You saw it going down, but, it was just recession driven. It was a lot of market driven, the programs, the loan programs. Obviously, we don't have that anymore. We got strong loan programs that people have written the last several years. But, so '08 was like a Chinese water torture. And here it's kind of it's obviously we've never experienced this before, but, this is, you have to, you and I have been talking a lot back and forth the last several weeks, months, and talking about it. And I kind of came to my realization that this type of time frame here, it's almost like a score. First quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and fourth quarter, and where do you end up in the end? Because I want to dial down real quick about the forbearances, talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, their position, where they're at. I just saw something here that I'm reading that Freddie Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, both of them have been hit hard from an income standpoint. Fannie Mae said that their comprehensive income was 0.476 billion in the first quarter of 2020. The reason I'm kind of getting detailed in these numbers, you have to look at these numbers as far as the data, the trends, and the psychology as we talk about. But it was 0.476 billion in the first quarter of 2020. That was down from 4.2 billion the previous quarter. So, and then Freddie Mac was down significantly with income of 0.62 billion compared to 2.4 billion in the fourth quarter of 2019. So bottom line is, the servicers are getting hit hard. In terms of the forbearances, and like I said, I think this is almost like a football game where you can kind of keep score and see how the game's progressing based on, because we really didn't have this in 08. You just saw this trend. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it was just a collapse.
It's just like, here it's just a collapse, and it's like, okay, exactly. So Fannie Mae estimates that there's 7% of the loans on its books were in forbearance on April 30th. They expect that number to increase. So to go back to that number, actually here, let me pull this back number. As April 30th, there's 3.8 million home mortgages, 7.3 of all active obligations were in forbearance.
Was that
That was compared to
about $81 billion?
Yeah, that is actually, comes out to like 200, the unpaid balances are about 236 billion.
Yeah, the unpaid,
loans.
Okay.
That compared to the week before, it was 3.4 million. So basically another 400,000 people went into forbearance, went from 6.4% to 7.3%. It says here, current forbearances account for 841 billion unpaid principal, up from 754 billion the prior week. So, and there's an interesting note here. Like I said, I'm pulling these notes because I read this stuff and I can't memorize all that because, it's tough to memorize this stuff when it's changing every day. I wish I could. But it says it's worth noting here that the mortgage payments are typically due on the first of each month. So if you think about this, and then you say, yeah, kind of put all the whole picture together. It said since the massive business closures and unemployment claims began in mid-March, only the April payment has been required. So you got mid-March, they were due for April 1st. So there's probably, if you think about it, and just looking at looking at these numbers and look at the whole picture, there's probably people that said, okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to make the April payment. But then let's say they lost their job in middle of April. Now the picture is going to start changing for them too. So I think.
And the rental market is even worse. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the number of people falling behind on rent is a staggering number. And I still feel, like I've said the first time, that that's not, I don't think it's let's see, so I put it. So let's say there's 100 people. I'll just make it 100 people. I'd say 25 of them didn't pay rent because they couldn't afford it. 75 didn't pay rent because the federal government told them they didn't have to.
Yeah.
Because I can't believe that many people, are in a position where they can't afford rent. Now it might get that way, but I think it was an opportunity dangled in front of people, but I don't think that same psychology plays into forbearance. Some of the forbearance skipped mortgage payments are probably people are saying, well, it's going to get tight. Let's go ahead and skip some payments now so that we can build an emergency fund. Let's cut back where we can, but I don't think it's the same ratio as people skipping rent. Do you think?
No, I think, they're probably a little more strategic about it.
Yeah. Well, it's a bigger number. Boy, my phone's blowing up here. Sorry about that.
People calling in. This is not a telethon.
Yeah. So it's interesting though, because while the forbearance numbers are bad, and they're going to get worse because today's May 1st. I mean, gosh, what numbers are we going to see when they roll them up by Monday or Tuesday? And then, but yet mortgage applications actually increased this week something like was it 12% versus a week before?
Yeah. There's still a lot of refinances going on there. The rates are still good. You have to, being a mortgage broker, I can pick different people, different lenders that, got different pricing. And right now rates are, to go on to rates a little bit, rates have been in about the low, about the mid 3, the high 3% range. Once again, they're still saying that once we get through this, and as we're probably going to repeat ourselves a couple of times the last couple of weeks, but the lenders are still pricing in, that, and, it said here, I was looking at something talking about rates here. It said, why haven't rates taken the same hints in the past? Because they just really have not been reacting to the mortgage-backed security market like they should. Because like I said, there's that built-in volatility premium that lenders have still been building in, because they're saying, hey, we don't know what's going to happen with these forbearances. It's still a big question mark. And it said here, why haven't rates taken the same hints as in the past? And that means why haven't they've been tracking, if mortgage-backed security markets are the rates, bonds are hitting highs, rates should be hitting the lows, and they really haven't been. It said here, simply put, we're waiting for the forbearance tidal wave to die down. This will help the healing process to begin, but keep in mind that we have no historical context for a baseline rate environment with 10-year yields being under 1%. So, it's still, as I've been kind of frustrated as talking to you the last several months and last couple of weeks and I know I've talked to this one gentleman I've been working with on purchasing a home. He's, watching, he goes, I can tell your frustration. I said, yeah, there is a lot of frustration because the market rates should be even lower, but the lenders are saying, no, we're not going to give away this money that we can make. We got to watch our back. And that's what's been kind of frustrating. Once we get by that, they're saying the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months, if we get that, I think that's where the whole window is going to open up, because then you're going to see this forbearance, what happened in the last 3, 4 months, and things will loosen up and rates could go down.
So we thought initially, then what you're saying, we thought initially that when the feds lowered the rate, that that interest rates for mortgages would start to fall a few weeks after that, but the rates were held artificially high because there was this huge refinancing boom. But now the volume of refinancing is not so much the reason to keep the rates up high. It's fear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the investors we don't know how many loans are going to get thrown back to us right now. So, they do need a cushion. And they're just like me. It's my first pandemic. So I don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so they're another thing that's kind of sad is that they've really, a lot of lenders have tightened up on cash out refinances. If before you could go up to 80% on conventional refinance, but now there's been talk, and I haven't seen the pricing the last day, but as of today, in the last 48 to 72 hours, lenders have been putting on an LLPA, a lender loan level pricing adjustment. That means if you do certain things, they're going to add a price to your loan and your interest rate, your cost of your loan. They're saying the LLPAs are a couple points, several points to get cash out. So they're actually hitting, if somebody's looking to get cash out, if they're above probably 50% loan to value, if you're below that, there's probably not going to be as much of a hit. I haven't priced one out in the last 24 hours, but if you're in the 55 to say 75, 80% range in terms of, getting cash out, good luck, because it's going to cost you a lot of money to get that cash out, which is kind of frustrating from my standpoint, because there's been several talks on some mortgage news networks this last couple of days or in the last couple of weeks, that the housing market would help lead us out of this. And it's too bad that the lenders are kind of squeezing people for cash out right now when they actually need it. So, but that's brought on by the forbearances, though. They're afraid that they're going to take the cash and maybe do a forbearance, and that's where their risk, that's where they're balancing it. So it's, it's not all.
Well, I know what you're talking about, because in 2008, when things really crashed, I had a good friend that owned a landscaping design company, so landscaping architect, and his business was done, toast, right? And so he wasn't getting any work, and he had a nice $1 million home out in Scottsdale, and it was just about paid off because he was doing so well. Well, he he mortgaged the hell out of it so that he could pay his employees and stay afloat. I mean, this guy was a great guy. He kept paying their health insurance premiums, even though he didn't have work for them.
Mhm.
And he did that from the massive home equity that he had. And he got that loan, even though the market went way down and collapsed, his home was still worth a lot of money, just not as much as it was before. So now you've got people with huge amounts of equity, the past few years, that own small businesses that could use, a little cash infusion to help keep them afloat. Because I've got friends that, there's a couple I know in Chandler that own Flow Yoga and Cycle, and they're struggling, and it's so frustrating, that it was a mandate that, they had hiccups along trying to get the thing open, and now they got it open. It was just thriving, and then along comes this mandate that they can't do it. And I guess what's frustrating, I understand the restrictions we're going through now, but people that are as creative as they were, I strongly believe, given the opportunity, would be able to say, okay, here's how we're going to open, and here's how we're going to keep people safe. Outdoor workouts, maybe different masks to wear. I mean, they're innovators. They would have come up with something, but their hands are tied and they can't. So I think what we're going to see going forward here very quickly is, you've always talked about the psychology. I think we're going to see the psychology shift of people getting frustrated and sad at a higher level now. And I think that'll put a drag on our market. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think you can only keep this up for so long. I'm just gonna call it like it is. It's frustrating. I'm pissed. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be politically correct saying that, but I'm frustrated because there's, you got a lot of people out there that it's just like this pent up, we've never seen this before. And that's why I think you got to look at the numbers. This is like a science project right now. You look at the numbers of forbearances and what's going on, the money.
I'm not upset that I'm not selling a lot.
I'm Irish, that's why I can say that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, and I can understand your frustration. What you and I are saying is that we're pissed off because the mechanism isn't there for people to get the money out of their homes. Yeah. I mean, I get it. People, if you're in real estate, you're going to ride cycles. So if real estate goes down, or if it goes way up, it's going to affect my paycheck. But if it's not a good time to buy, I'm just going to tell you, it's not a good time to buy. And commission be damned. But I think it's frustrating because normal trends we can figure out. Yeah. When financing's tight and unemployment's high, and we know how long that cycle takes, we've got nothing to hang our hat on now, except we look at this week's number and like a video I put out day before yesterday, I think it's you've got the inventory number. Are we going to crash? Well, we can't crash unless the inventory goes way up. You can't crash from low inventory. So it's still supply and demand. So right now we've got inventories just hanging down here like a low flying plane, right? And buyer traffic is kind of starting to come up a little bit, not too much. You don't have a crash until those numbers cross and inventory goes way up and buyer traffic goes way down.
Exactly.
And we're nowhere near that. But could it happen in a matter of weeks? Probably.
Yeah, it could wash out quick. I mean, God, I sit here and I was up at 5 a.m. Working on this loan for this lady. We got her conditionally approved, and she was excited. It was a first time home buyer. I had to go through the ringer, with the lender. I got it. Talked to the underwriter for 45 minutes and got her conditionally approved, and she was excited. She's blowing through. She's like, I don't care. I'm buying my first home. So they're going back to what you said a couple minutes ago. There's a lot of people like, hey, I'm buying my first home. This is kind of the crack in the cement that I can go in and get something done. But it's going to be interesting. That's why I think, like I said, before we got on the call, I kind of came up with the fact that I'm like, this is kind of like a football game. You can kind of almost keep score quarter by quarter by quarter and see the numbers. And I think people just have to make the best decision based on what they've got, the information. Man, this just blows my mind away.
Well, looking the next week, the numbers that I'm expecting, I want to see how many people didn't make their May payment on both
Yeah.
renters and forbearance. And
Yep.
then I want to see just how bad the May numbers are. And they may not be, as far as number of sales, they may not be as bad as I originally thought they were going to be in April.
Mhm.
So it's obviously going to be down, but there's a graph on amount of homes under contract the past 2 weeks that was actually pretty optimistic because the difference between now and the bubble of 2008 was that in 2008 you heard people say, if I don't buy now, I won't be able to afford it. This is before 2008, like 6 and 7. I got to buy now. All my friends are buying, it's going up. If I don't buy now, I can't afford it,
Yep.
right? That's a bubble. It's not a bubble when you got people saying, especially the millennials right now saying, I'm going to wait until the market comes down. Well, there's a couple things in that statement. And one is, if they're going to wait, that means that they want to buy and they're ready
Yep.
to buy, but they're waiting for it to go down. That's completely the opposite of the psychology from, for the crash
You're
in
right.
2008. So you're
You're
not
right.
going to
You're
have a
right.
crash if you've got that kind of buyer traffic out there waiting behind the bushes to pounce.
That's a good point. Because I mean, if you look at it, '08, 05, '06, we had this push of this mass of people that just wanted to buy. If you think about it, you're so right. I mean, this is just general stuff. This is not science, but talking about where we've been. We've been in the market. We saw this stuff. So, come to think of it, I saw this mass of people, wanting to buy, and all of a sudden the crash hit, and it's like, nope, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it. Now you've got these millennials that have been out there that they're smarter. They're more educated. They put 5% down. We're not doing 100%. No, 620 FICO scores. I mean, 620, you can't even touch a house right now. So, that is definitely an interesting, different market, and that's what makes it so intriguing because you've got people now with equity that have got 30, 40, 50% of equity. They got a lot of people that paid cash the last 4, 5, 6 years. Like I said, I went through, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago where I went through 12,500 listings on the MLS, almost data points. And there is probably 30, 40, 50% of the people that had their house paid for in cash. They owed nothing on it. And that wasn't the case in 06, 07, 08. People were owning a home plus 5 other homes. So,
well, I have a listing coming up in Chandler next week, and we originally spoke that we were going to ask 340 for it. The market's pretty hot. That we were going to have a strategy where we had an listed on Thursday, and then hold an open house on Saturday. So, and then we'd probably see multiple offers by Sunday night. Well, now all bets are off. I still think the 340 price is probably going to work out for them between 330 and 340. And, but we're going to launch it on whatever day it's ready to go. We're going to put it out there, but it used to be that, Thursdays when you do it, and we're not going to do an open house. So I'm going to be doing a video tour, and then I'm going to set up and do one of those 360 tours. You can actually walk through the home online, and I'm going to put that out there as well.
that's pretty cool.
So I think the traffic is good enough to where, we can have, people coming to look at the house, but they won't be lined up at the door, but that price range is still pretty good. So, we'll see what happens. It's probably going to go on the market at the end of next week, and we'll, have a little more experience to go on it. But so next week, let's look at
the numbers,
forbearance numbers. Yeah.
I will say,
forbearance. Let's look at buyer traffic and homes under contract. I don't expect anything to change on listings. They're just, every morning I pull it up. It's the same thing. It's like, 200 came on, 200 came off. It's like every day.
That's crazy. Like I said, I've been digging into the numbers as far as, the spreads on, like I said, the rates, they got to come back in line, but it's gonna be interesting on the forbearances. I'll end on this note though. I got to say that, I was on the phone with a mutual friend of ours, the woman up from as Trump would say, the woman up in Michigan.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Fun
I
lady.
mean, huh?
I said, fun lady.
Yeah, I mean, she knows who she is.
Yeah.
But
We
I just
love
got
her.
off the phone. I mean, all this stuff is frustrating. I mean, looking through guidelines, because guidelines are changing every, the cash out and the tightening of the trends. But you and I work together on, that woman up in Michigan, as she said that, we had our illustrious president would say. But as frustrating as this business is every day, and you get, you try to get loans through, and you get the loan through, and she says thank you, and she's tickled to death, and she said, I'm so glad I'm getting out of this apartment. Um, you know, God bless her. She's a good woman, and I'm tickled that I'm tickled that you and I were able to help her out, and that's at the end of the day, all this crap, this mud that we're sludging through, kind of makes you feel good.
Yeah, that was a nice one to put together. That she's getting into a really nice house, so it's
Yeah.
fun to see. So I'll check back next week, and we'll see if anything at all changes.
I will. And oh, by the way, she says we got to go to bingo with her.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll bring.
I know she's watching. I'm not going to tell her name. Huh?
I'll bring my quarters.
Okay.
Okay, see you, Pat.
All right, buddy. Take care.